Welcome back to Scary Hour, where I share the most chilling stories you'll ever hear. Tonight's story is about a night I'll never forget, a night that proved something was already inside my house long before I realized I was alone. It was a typical Tuesday evening, or so I thought. I was settled in for the night, enjoying the quiet hum of the house. The clock on the wall ticked past 11:59, and as it struck midnight, my world was turned upside down. That's when I heard it. Deliberate footsteps echoed from directly above me. They sounded like someone pacing back and forth, right across the ceiling. My blood ran cold for one simple, terrifying reason. My house only has one floor. There is no upstairs. There's nothing above me but the roof and the empty night sky. I froze in place. Every muscle in my body tensed, listening. The footsteps stopped just as suddenly as they had begun, plunging the house back into an unnerving silence. But the quiet didn't last. A few seconds later, a new sound cut through the stillness. The unmistakable hiss and spray of the shower turning on by itself in the bathroom down the hall. My heart was hammering against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat in the otherwise silent house. Every horror movie I'd ever seen screamed at me to stay put, to hide, to call for help. But a morbid curiosity, or maybe just sheer disbelief, pushed me to my feet. I had to see. I had to know what was happening in my own home. My legs felt like lead as I tiptoed towards the bathroom, each creak of the floorboards sounding like a gunshot in the silence. My hand trembled as I reached for the doorknob. It was cold, slick with condensation. Taking a deep breath, I pushed the door open. The room was thick with steam, so dense I could barely see a foot in front of me. The shower was running at full blast, hot water pounding against the porcelain tub, but there was no one there. The room was completely empty. As the steam began to clear, my eyes were drawn to the large mirror above the sink. The surface was fogged over, but something was written on it, as if traced by a finger. Two words, stark and chilling, stared back at me. Too late. I stumbled backward, my mind racing, trying to make sense of it all. Who could have done this? How? Before I could even process the message on the mirror, before I could even scream, another sound pierced the air. Crackle of static coming from my bedroom. Spun around, my heart leaping into my throat. On my nightstand, an old baby monitor had flickered to life. Its little green power light blinked rhythmically in the dark. This was impossible. I don't have a child. I've never owned a baby monitor in my life. I had no idea where it even came from. It must have been in a box of old things I got from a yard sale, but I'd never taken it out. It wasn't even plugged in, yet there it was, on and broadcasting a sound that made my skin crawl. Slow, raspy breathing. In and out, in and out. A guttural sound that seemed to fill the room. I was paralyzed, glued to the spot, listening to the disembodied breathing coming from this phantom device. And then the breathing stopped. A chilling silence hung in the air for a moment before a low, guttural whisper slithered out of the speaker. It was a voice that sounded ancient and dry, and it said just 3 words, "Don't turn around." A wave of pure, primal terror washed over me. At the exact same moment the whisper ended, I felt it. A puff of warm, damp air against the back of my neck. Felt like someone was standing directly behind me, breathing on my skin. I didn't think. I didn't hesitate. I just ran, bolted out of my bedroom, not even bothering to grab my shoes or my keys. I flew down the hallway, past the still steaming bathroom, fumbled with the front door lock, and burst out into the cold night air. I ran barefoot down the middle of the street, not stopping until the streetlights of the main road were in sight. I didn't look back once. I called the police from a neighbor's house, my voice shaking so much I could barely speak. They arrived and searched my house from top to bottom. They found the shower off, the bathroom mirror clear, and no sign of forced entry. But in the morning light, they did find something. Hidden behind my bedroom door, where I would have never seen it, were a series of muddy footprints. They led from the corner of the room to the spot right behind where I had been standing. And then they just stopped. They led nowhere. The police were baffled. No other prints, no fingerprints, nothing. It was as if a ghost had walked through my room. Needless to say, I moved out that very same day. I couldn't spend another second in that house. I packed my essentials, left everything else behind, and found a new apartment on the other side of town. For a few weeks, things felt normal again. I started to believe it was all a waking nightmare, a product of stress, or an overactive imagination. I tried to convince myself I was safe. Then, last night, I was finally unpacking the last of my boxes. As I reached into my duffel bag, my fingers brushed against something cold and plastic. I pulled it out and my blood turned to ice. It was the baby monitor. I had no memory of packing it. I would have sworn I left it in that cursed house. I stared at it, horrified, my hands trembling. And as I held it, a tiny blue light on the front began to blink. It was on. It was still on. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Scary Hour. If this story sent a chill down your spine, do me a favor and hit that like button, drop a comment with your own creepy experiences, and make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. You really don't want to miss what's coming next. Stay safe out there.